At Cinema Recall, we want to present to you the finest in film analysis.
Yeah, like action and gore and sex.
We will look at classics by Kubrick, Lynch, Godard, De Palma, and Coppola.
I don't know who the that is, but I'm looking at classic bodies of Christina Hendricks, Keanu Reeves, Salma Hayek, Ryan Reynolds.
We are a serious show for film lovers who enjoy indie foreign films, art house gems, and classic black and white features.
Well, I enjoy big budget blockbusters with great action and sexy people. Maybe our podcast can celebrate all aspects of films, like people who feel like your weird way and like people who feel like my weird way can like get together, man.
They can?
Yeah.
Huh. I like that.
Cinema Recall is available everywhere you find great podcasts. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram under Cinema Recall Podcast and on Twitter at cinema_recall.
Turn it up.
Well, as per usual, we start the show
Yes.
with bad news.
Oh no. Here we go.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
We are here to celebrate the life of Louise Fletcher,
Yes.
an actress who passed away this week
Mm-hmm.
at the age of 88. I'm pointing at my co-host.
Wow, that's a pretty good run.
That's a pretty good run.
Okay.
It is a pretty good run.
It is.
I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah.
Somebody who just right out of the blocks was very successful.
Mm-hmm.
She was in a Robert Altman film in 1974
Okay.
called Thieves Like Us. And the next year, she was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Yes, as Nurse Ratched.
where she won a Academy Award,
Mm-hmm.
an Emmy, or not an Emmy. What'd she win?
She won an Oscar.
3 big awards.
Yeah, and I
The
can't
Golden
remember
Globe
what else.
and a BAFTA.
Okay.
And she was
Here we
only
go.
the 3rd actress ever to win those 3.
Oh wow.
Previously, Audrey Hepburn and Liza Minnelli had won those.
Wow. Good
leaving
company.
you to guess which roles those were for.
Oh.
And so,
I don't know.
yeah, and so she was, she was very successful there, and went on to be in, worked essentially till the end,
Mm-hmm.
in both TV and theater. Probably never really reached up to that level again, but what are you gonna do?
Right. I mean, once you've won all 3 of those awards in 1 year, that's a huge accomplishment. Like, where do you go from there?
Well, Tom Hanks has won the 4 Oscars, right?
Okay,
So-
he's won a lot, but that's unusual.
Yeah, no, it is. But of course, was known as the role of Kai Wynn on Deep Space
Oh my
Nine.
God, the role that you love to hate.
Probably people remember her best for, but she was in
Yes.
a lot of kind of one-shot roles on shows. I think the last time I saw her was like she was on Shameless.
Oh,
when
she
I was still watching.
was?
Yeah, she was Mama Gallagher on Shameless.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And so and in an alternate universe, her life might have gone a different way.
Okay.
Because after Thieves Like Us, she was set to be in Nashville,
Oh.
his movie in 1975.
Yeah,
So
right.
she was busy in 1975, but she might have been able to be in it. And the Lily Tomlin role was initially written for her.
Interesting.
But she...
It's a great role.
Yeah. Well, and Lily Tomlin's great in it.
Yeah, she was.
But she had a falling out with Altman, or from what I understand, it was actually her husband that had a falling out with him.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because she
Okay.
married a producer named Jerry Bick,
Okay.
who she was married to for most of the 70s,
Okay.
and had 2 kids with. And for some reason, like, they just didn't.
Him and Altman didn't see eye to
Yeah,
eye.
I think
so-
he was probably
Okay.
in my own headcanon. He was like, well, I'm like kind of her agent and producer, and Altman's like, okay, whatever. I've got Lily Tomlin in the wings, so I think we're good.
Yeah, right. I don't want to deal with you then.
So yeah, so who knows? But I remember her, of course, from Exorcist II, The Heretic, or as We fans like to call it E2TH.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was she the mom in that?
No,
Who was she in
she's
that?
the psychiatrist who is trying to treat Reagan
Oh, wow.
and gives uses the dream machine on her.
Great. Great. That sounds like a fun role. I haven't seen that. Maybe I should put it on my list.
Oh, really?
Yes, I've seen the first one. But yeah, she's a very good actress, and she didn't mind playing roles that were unpopular. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that some actors shy away from that because sometimes you do it so well, people start to view you that way. And she probably got some of that in her life. But she dealt with it. And like Kai Wynn is such a fascinating character because I remember like the first Kai in Deep Space Nine, extremely different from her. And then Kai Wynn comes in and she's like this power hungry religious leader.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Yeah, and she sort of mastered the art of like condescension in her roles.
Oh my God.
Because she I'd read that she was born to two deaf parents.
Really?
I don't know what the circumstances were, but she and her siblings all could hear. And so her aunt had to teach them to talk, basically.
Oh my gosh.
Like they had her around so they would, develop normally in that way.
Wow.
And her father was a minister. She's from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. So when she was putting together the character of Nurse Ratched and how to play the character, obviously it's a book.
Mm-hmm.
She was thinking about how black people were treated in Alabama at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And the idea of the sort of, she said like the sort of paternalistic way that they were treated, like we're helping you out, like we're doing you a favor. We're being cruel to be kind. We're giving you these opportunities, but don't step out of line. And so that's how she saw Ratched sort of dealing with the guys who are in the asylum. And apparently Ratched in the book is like a lot worse. Like she's a lot meaner and sort of violent. But she came with Milos Forman, the director. They came down on this idea of her being very subtly threatening, and sort of using her power and the facilities to sort of like keep these guys down.
Well, I think it's incredibly effective because man, you hate her in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
She is absolutely terrible to them, but yeah, she does have that attitude, like I'm trying to help you out sort of thing. Like, so you have to do shock therapy.
And she brings that with her to Deep Space Nine as well.
She does.
A show that sometimes you get people playing subtext in Star Trek, but not a ton.
But she totally did.
People tend to just tell you how they're feeling, and they sort of act in sort of basic ways.
It's true.
To get the points across. But yeah, she was one of the first characters that is really clearly being one way and thinking another thing.
I think there's a lot of that on that particular show.
Yeah.
And I feel like more so than some other in the series.
Yeah. And her character and her performance obviously goes a long way towards communicating that she's being disingenuous or that she is saying one thing and definitely feeling something else.
Yeah. And like her and Kira did not get along.
No.
At all. So.
Not at all.
Yeah. Kira's like, I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. More or less.
Yeah. And I'm scared of her hat. Probably poke myself if I tried to pick her up to throw her.
Very intimidating.
So yeah, she and her talent will be missed. It's too bad.
It is too bad.
She passed away in France.
Wow. Why was she in France?
Living in France.
She was just living there?
So doing okay.
Okay.
Living in France.
That's nice.
Good place to live.
I mean, it's got good food. I can say that much about it. Like, I don't know if it's a good place to live or not. You've got a friend who lives in Paris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should ask them.
Yeah. He's a TV producer.
Yeah.
So he's retired at like 50 something to Paris, or to France. So he's doing okay.
I mean, I think if you had like the European lifestyle of like going to the supermarket every couple of days,
yes, they do.
I think that would be. It could be a lot of fun. You live in this trendy little apartment and you go and you get a baguette and your bike and then you pick up some cheese somewhere and some wine and you have a little picnic.
Sticking out of your grocery bag.
Yeah, you got it.
You bring it home.
Yeah. And you have to get a black and white striped shirt. You just have to. And a little handkerchief.
We're learning a lot about Mikan Hana's desires here.
No, I mean, look, I've been to France before. They do have extremely good food. They've got some incredible museums. They've got Notre Dame. They've got a lot of really cool stuff culturally. So I think it would be a cool place to live, but I don't know what the standards are of living there. Like, I don't know how, the divide between the haves and the have-nots. If you had money, yeah, be great. If you didn't have money, it would suck because you'd see the baguettes and you'd want one and couldn't get one.
I don't know what's happening right now. Are you writing a lost Victor Hugo novel?
I don't
What's
know.
going on?
Maybe I am. Maybe it's Les Mis over here.
Then you start thinking about, like, I could just take that bread.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
But now this cop, it keeps chasing me. Won't leave me alone.
Yeah, I know.
You're describing Earth.
I know.
The divisions between the haves and the have-nots.
I am describing Earth.
They exist everywhere, even in the countryside in the south of France.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah, where there's lots of vineyards.
Yes. The price of beurre just keeps going up.
Dang, the price of beurre. Gosh, dang it.
All right. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, this is the Just Enough Trope podcast. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana. We're talking about beurre.
Yeah, we're here to report the price of beurre. And today we are talking about something very special. It is a television show.
Yeah.
Or what passes for a television show on the electrons of the internet these days. It is a Star Wars show, but it's a different kind of Star Wars show.
It is a different kind of Star Wars show.
Confirmed. The word shit exists in the Star Wars universe.
I didn't catch that.
And now we know.
Yeah.
Because we saw it in the show Andor.
Yes.
Which has come out this week. The first 3 episodes have been released. Why play with people? If the first 3 episodes are the streaming pilot...
Yeah.
We'll just drop the whole thing.
Just drop the whole thing.
And so that's what they decided to do.
Yeah.
And we've decided to talk about it this week. And so we'll be doing that.
Mm-hmm. And it really is like the pilot.
Yep.
The first 3 episodes. And we've talked about that before on the show. How
yes, we have.
That often is the case, but it's especially the case with Andor.
Yeah. Maybe because they're like, since nothing happens in the first 2 episodes, let's put all 3 out. so there's actually an inciting incident. So this series can go forward.
I know.
But we will talk about that.
Oh my God.
In our segment, our feature segment at the end of the show.
Yes.
I am a little bit fearful, but I'm just going to say, what's going on with you?
What's going on with me is I have been rewatching Bee and Puppy Cat on YouTube because there is a new Netflix series and they're basically retelling the story. It's a different style. They got money, and because it was like an internet cartoon that was, produced by, I can't remember the name of the company now. But it was like an internet cartoon, and so they were very short. Like maybe about 5 minutes. And so now they're full half-hour episodes on Netflix. But before I dive into that, I got to refresh my mind.
Okay.
And so I'm watching the original series again on YouTube, and it is just as hilarious as I remember it being. So that's really great for me to revisit. I laughed a whole bunch today, and I've only like maybe halfway through. And I think there's like maybe 12 episodes. And like I said, they're about like 5-6 minutes long each. But it's very hilarious. It's totally, definitely takes inspiration from Sailor Moon. And I think, the creator has even said that. I mean, it's magical girl, transformation, talking cat. What do you want? Well, it's a puppy cat, but, and even like, I think it was like in the 4th or 5th episode, like in her apartment, it showed a stuffed black cat with a yellow star on its forehead. So, I mean, you can't get more referential to Sailor Moon than that.
I guess.
Just about.
Yeah.
So, it's just really fun to see. And I love the humor in it. It's very funny. Puppy Cat is hilarious and ridiculous, and I love the way that he talks. And he wants a leather jacket really badly, and because he's cool, but he's like, he doesn't want to be cute. does not want to be cute. He's
Hey,
so
man,
darn
You're
cute.
born a puppy cat. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. You got a little bell on your neck. You're freaking cute. So
How do they pull off half an hour episodes?
that's a great question. I mean, I think they lengthen the story,
Yeah.
you know, but I watched the trailer for the Netflix episode, and like a lot of the beats that are in the trailer are in the YouTube series.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a retelling, I think, of like, now we got more money. Now we can tell the story maybe more how we want to tell it.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of excited to see like what the changes are and everything. The style is a little different in the new series. So, that's interesting too. But yeah, it has a lot of the same beats. Like, it's like you see her first thing and she's like, I got fired and all this stuff. And then Puppy Cat falls out of the sky and hits her in the head. And
Okay. All right. Come on.
yeah. So
What is this?
Yeah. It's fantastic. I love it. I highly recommend it. Bee and Puppy Cat. You can watch all of the the series on YouTube, the original series, and then the new series is on Netflix. So
Watch out.
yeah.
Red Porsche is going to pull up to your house, creator of Bee and Puppy Cat.
Oh no.
And a small Japanese lady's going to get out with a baseball bat.
Oh no.
Careful.
Nako, don't do it.
A jewel-encrusted baseball bat.
Oh my god. So what's going on
Little
with you?
slugger power. Skull crush.
Oh my god.
I am unfortunately reaching the end game, but not the end game of the Assassin's Creed series. I've got to get serious. I've got to get on the stick about finishing this thing, or at least, playing at least 20 hours of every game to get a feel of them for an upcoming episode of the podcast Backtrekking, where we'll be talking about what my co-host Gooey Fame calls hanging out with famous people in history.
Yeah.
And so we'll be talking about an episode of Voyager where they hang out with Leonardo da Vinci. Almost always I'll say Leonardo DiCaprio.
I was going to it almost sounded like you were about to say that.
Janeway is way too old for that. And so we'll be talking about the series as a whole, not as something that inspired, obviously, the Star Trek episode, but the sort of genre, the literary or like, I guess in this case, video game trope of like,
hang out with somebody famous.
Right. Yeah. There's a story you didn't know. And it's actually, this.
This is what really happened in their life.
Yeah. So I've been sort of trying to power my way through a couple different, I'm actually playing a couple at once.
Okay.
Don't recommend it.
Okay.
Especially because they change the controls every game.
That's really confusing.
So I just, I didn't finish Rogue, but I got a good way into Rogue and feel like I kind of got the idea. And so I moved on to the next one, Unity. Which is interesting because obviously Unity is known as the one with all the bugs. But there is a meta story element in the game about how it's a simulation. Most of the games, there's a frame story where in the present day, you are a person who has a famous dashing, swashbuckling ancestor. And so you're living their experiences.
Okay.
But in this, you are sort of like a cipher. You are just you, I guess. It's in a meta sense because you're playing this video game that the bad guys have put together. And so you are playing like a recording of the life of this guy in the French Revolution. But as far as I know, you're not related to that person. Mm-hmm. So these are like recorded memories.
Okay.
But because it's recorded memories, it sort of changes the storytelling techniques. Because in the past, and I only figured this out recently, and obviously it's just clear, but these games come from the makers of the Prince of Persia series. And in the Prince of Persia series, there was always like a rewinding time sort of thing, mechanic.
Sure.
And also the idea that the prince was telling a story. He was like, once upon a time, when I was younger, I had a sword and I ran on walls and did parkour.
Right. And you're like, is this really real? Or...
Yeah.
Right.
And so if you fall off a cliff or like die or something, the prince is like, no, I'm telling the story wrong. That's not how it happened. And then it sort of rewinds. And, the story is, there's only one story. And to tell it wrong would be game over.
Right.
Well, that's literally what the Assassin's Creed thing is, right? Because whoever your ancestor is, they didn't jump off a tower, even though you do it 100 times when you play the game.
Right.
And to their death, like they succeeded in their mission and they eventually gave birth to the next ancestor that would lead to you.
Right.
And so whenever you die in the game, it's just saying, oh, you've desynchronized with the memories. You're not remembering them right.
Yes.
But now you don't have that anymore. So when I die in the game, what's happening to me? Do you know what I mean? Am I just being disconnected? And so what they've kind
Because
of...
you don't have an ancestor anymore?
Right, because
Okay.
because they're just playing a tape for you. You're not interacting with these memories. Like it's... And so what they've done is they've anticipated that. And they've added this, there was a big focus on co-op in Unity. So they've added the idea that you are playing this game, but there are like glitches in the system. And it's sort of like the Matrix. So while you're playing Revolutionary France and you're like hanging out with Madame Tussaud and Robespierre, like these are all the historical figures.
Right.
The people who are like showing this to you are like, oh no, there's intrusion coming from the outside. Quick, you got to find an exit. So it's like the Matrix.
Okay.
So you jump through a portal that appears like in this historical setting, and then suddenly it's like there's the Eiffel Tower and there's balloons, and they're like, oh no, you've gone into some other recording. This is a recording of like the late 19th century. This is the Belle Epoque. So you've got to like get out of this. They're still chasing you, and you have to like. And now there's subway trains and stuff like that. It's like this isn't like powdered wigs. This is a different time period.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, you've sort of traded your conceit for like a different conceit.
Yes.
Which I think is kind of interesting. And
I mean,
then
you
it
have
also
to grow, I guess.
technically explains why that guy doesn't have a face.
What guy doesn't have a face?
When you run into guys who are like, when you see a guy floating in the air, or you see all the bugs that are just inherent to the rushed process of creating the game Unity, I guess, did they know that they were going to have a lot of bugs? And so they created this thing that's just like, oh no, bugs are to be expected.
The system's really buggy.
Yes, the system is down.
Wow.
So that explains that. It doesn't explain the massive amount of bugs I've experienced in Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry.
Yeah.
Which is a DLC sequel to Assassin's Creed 4, where you play Adewale, who is the first officer of Kenway, the hero of that game.
Okay.
He's black.
Mm-hmm.
You are in the Caribbean.
Yep.
In the mid-18th century.
Oh, boy.
And so what I did not expect, when I booted up this game, which is probably only about 10, 15 hours long, I did not expect that it would be a Caribbean Django Unchained where you go to Haiti and just start killing slave masters left and right and start freeing slaves. There are missions, but then the side missions are basically all murder that guy and set his slaves free. And so it's like, I didn't know that it was going to be this, but that's kind of fun.
Yeah, right.
Now, I'm positive a black person didn't write this.
Right.
So, like, how am I supposed to feel about it?
Yeah.
And then I also noticed that, like, your upgrades, you can pay for ammo and, there's currency, real or whatever they're using, at the time. But to get more upgrades, you have to have saved and liberated a certain amount of slaves.
Oh, my gosh.
So they've literally commodified the slaves. So it's like,
I don't know how to feel about that.
you're free of the slave masters market. Now you are valuable to me because I can get a new hidden blade.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, whenever you want to wade into these things come up, these considerations.
I know.
And Assassin's Creed from the start has known that. Their first game was like, Crusaders versus Muslims, right? That was the first game they made.
Yeah.
And they've always had the disclaimer that this game is made by people of varying nationalities and faiths and races. And so we're not saying anything. We're just presenting history.
Right.
But I haven't got far enough into Unity yet to know where they come down on the topic of the French Revolution.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which we all agree went a little too far.
Yeah.
But is ultimately about
freedom,
liberty, equality, and equality, right? Like, and so, which it seems like obviously the Templars are on the side of the crown right now, but we're already at the point where, like, the last game, you played a guy who was a Templar. You defected from the Assassins because they were doing something bad. So I'm wondering at this point where it will come down in terms of the mythology and what the comment on history is.
Right. And it's a French developer too, right?
It's a French Canadian development.
French Canadian.
I think the parent company is French, but it's developed in Montreal.
In Canada. Okay.
And so so I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Mostly because I think of the emphasis on multiplayer, you can call people into your own game to like help you on missions.
Okay.
It's very popular in the early teens.
Yeah,
Every game had that.
I know.
But because of that, they have very decentralized the thrust of the story. So there's an opening, they put you start in Versailles, and then you end up in Paris, and they're like, go swim through the garlicky butter sea of Paris. And I'm like, I want to forward the story though, because I'm trying to get out of this game. I've got Syndicate waiting for me. I've got to play the next game.
Right.
And I can't find the next story mission to go forward.
Oh my God.
Because every mission is just a little like, there's some kind of cool, there's like heist type things. Like you have to go steal some artifacts from Notre Dame or something like that. So there are fun spins on the gameplay loops of the earlier series, but like I don't know how to move the story forward. Everybody I talk to is just like, oh, well, what's up? I'm some asshole from history. And I'm like, no, I need to like move the story forward.
That reminds me of Bee and Puppy Cat, because like on her birthday they took a temp job. So Puppy Cat is associated with this temp agency, and they take jobs sometimes.
Okay.
And so they took this job, and it's a video game job, and she gets the main quest right away, and she has to like destroy this giant eye in the sky, and she's like, what else do you got to do around here? Do you mean like a side quest? She's like, yeah. So she does like all the side quests and like powers up, and they're like, and she's like, I just want to make sure that I'm the most powerful that I can be, so I absolutely will not fail.
Right.
And Puppy Cat's eventually just like, let's do this. I've got a save game.
Well, I've got the opposite. I keep begging people to tell me how to get to the eye so I can kill it. And everybody's like, oh, could you handle this for me? Could you go get to the market and get a baguette for me sticking out of a grocery bag?
That's what the side quests were. Can you give this piece of meat to my girlfriend? That was one of them.
So that person has played video games that wrote that.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's talk about the news. Well, let's start with the news of science, the soft science of psychology, I guess,
okay.
Or maybe media studies.
Yeah.
And that is the fact that a UCLA study was looking at the effect of entertainment on specifically teens. We're talking about Generation Z.
Oh, boy.
And the kind of content that they want to consume. Mm-hmm. And they talked to 662 teenagers. This is kids from the age of 13 to 18.
Okay.
And the kind of content that they wanted to see. And they found that only 4.4% of their the people they studied wanted to see aspirational content. And what we mean by that is specifically worlds that they wish, idealized worlds that they wish that they were a part of.
Sure.
People living lives like Gossip Girl, seeing like rich people do amazing rich things. Mm-hmm. Instead, 21% said they wanted to watch content that grappled with real world issues, such as family dynamics or social justice.
I mean, that makes sense. Just look at Euphoria.
These kids are woke!
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you saying Euphoria is not aspirational?
It can be.
My parents are nowhere to be found. I apparently have all the money I need for drugs, and I'm just getting banged out or banging out every night.
I'm just saying.
How is that not aspirational?
It's slice of life, and it deals with like actual problems, even though they're somewhat fantastical in some ways. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it's not aspirational. I'm just saying that, like, Rue has a drug problem and stuff like that, and like actual teens could probably relate to that.
Does she have a drug problem or a drug solution? You're thinking that kids can relate to her drug problem?
Some kids can, or like they know somebody who I don't know.
Oh my God, I hope not.
Well, I hope not too.
Right, this is supposed to be a good story. Jesus. The study found that 23.6% of teens want black male heroes and 34.9% want white male villains.
Okay. That's kind of funny.
I'm not sure if they just had like Glidden's paint wheel of skin colors and just said, pick the one you want. But I'm assuming 23% of all the people that you could be, that's a majority or a large part.
Yes.
As well as 34%. So
I just think it's interesting because it's like, if you're going to make somebody the villain, make a white guy, a white male who is somebody who's the most privileged that you can be in this world.
Well,
and like,
I appreciate the desires of these kids. I like what I'm hearing. I like the fact that they don't want empty content.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they want diverse content.
Yeah, I like that too.
But they also said that 55% of those surveyed felt that social media does the best job at reflecting content that feels authentic to them.
And I don't know if I would agree with that.
I don't know if I would either, because for some reason in my Facebook feed, which, yes, I'm on Facebook still. What do you want? It's how we promote the show. But I saw an ad for the TSA.
What?
They're looking for air marshals. That's how you become an air marshal. You click on an ad on Facebook.
Are you serious?
And the image they had with it was, it was the aisle of a plane, and a lady who, let's say, was, close to Kamala Harris in shade, in a blazer, had a big white guy handcuffed and was pushing him down the aisle. And that's being an air marshal in the TSA. Which is actually kind of accurate. It's probably a flight to Vegas, and that guy was mad that they ran on a stoli. And so he started chanting white power or something like that.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's...
So who knows? Maybe they're right.
Probably fairly accurate, although, like, I don't think that the TSA gets to do that a whole lot, There's definitely some of that, but not everybody who's in the TSA is an air marshal,
No, I would say probably 1% of the people in the TSA are air marshals, if that.
Right. So I don't think that's an accurate representation. I mean, honestly, if you want... But I understand why they went with that instead of, like, making people go through the x-ray machine and, like... telling people they got to take stuff out of their pockets and stuff like that, because that's not exciting.
Yep. Should be a picture of you with a wand standing next to a trash can full of mouthwash.
Yeah.
And a bunch of angry people.
Right, exactly.
Glowering at you.
Yeah. That's worrying that, like, teens think that social media is a good place to get a good idea of what's... I mean, I think you get an idea from social media what people are talking about, in terms of entertainment, but I don't think you necessarily get a good idea of, like, what's good or not. I
didn't read deep enough to see what they meant by authenticity, being authentic. But, and of course it didn't break down, I just talked about Facebook. They're not on Facebook. So when they say social media, they mean like TikTok or... They must mean like... Or Snapchat or
TikTok
something
or Twitter or, Instagram.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Well, keep it up, kids.
Yeah. You're
doing great. Something that you can watch and see a non-white hero in is the sci-fi novel Iron Widow, which is becoming a movie.
Oh.
Iron Widow was written by Sharon J. Zhao.
Okay.
Who is the YouTube creator who... Now, this is not for the people at home. This is just for my co-host. But imagine I'm in a Cheongsam and I go... The history of Chinese people and the thing.
Oh, okay.
Let me do it again. She always starts looking off.
I know what you're doing.
Off to the left.
I know.
And then she turns awkwardly to the camera.
That's her style.
And she's in traditional dress.
Yes.
And then she talks about either historical stories or historical history.
I know exactly who you're talking about now. Is this based
This is why Mulan 2 was better than Mulan 1.
Is this based off of her book?
Yeah.
Because I know she's written at least one novel already.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's interesting.
So, yeah. Now, remember, this is not, we could just go, yay, that's great. But I want to point out that it's been, picked up. So, for instance...
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So, for instance, former guest of the show, Patrick Rothfuss. Remember when The Kingkiller Chronicles was picked up, like Lock, Stock, and Barrel? To be developed into a TV show and a movie and everything else. That was like 6-7 years ago, and we haven't seen anything about that.
Well, I was just thinking of another former guest of the show, Melissa F. Olson. Like, her book series was picked up for series, but it was by what?
Queeby?
Queeby?
Yeah.
Which is...
So that wasn't going to work out.
No.
It's actually better for her.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't get lumped in with Golden Arm. And also, if I understand correctly, the people that own, one of the reasons that they were doing The Most Dangerous Game and Golden Arm is because the creators of Queeby own their stuff. That was part of the deal.
Oh, that's right.
So, if the Queeby, they run it on Queeby or they don't, but you still maintain distribution rights to your own thing. And so she owns her stuff still. So,
I mean, that's I guess, a cool part of what Quibi was intended to be.
I guess. It's also, you spent billions of dollars on it and you didn't even own the stuff. You didn't even have like an ironclad deal where, like, look, I'm all for creators' rights, but come on, Katzenberg, you should have locked that down. Like, what was your idea?
I know. It was ill-fated, I think, from the beginning, unfortunately.
So anyway, Iron Widow, if you don't know, is kind of a mashup of different genres. It is here. I'll just read you the plot sentence, summary here.
Okay, sure.
The boys of Husha dream of pairing up with girls to pilot chrysalises, giant transforming robots that can battle the mecha aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall.
Wow, sounds awesome.
Yeah. So
I want to read this.
Mechas in sort of ancient China.
That's really cool. I don't think I've seen that mashup before, so that's pretty neat. Very cool. I mean, I feel like you've seen mechas in like ancient Japan, so why not ancient China?
It's like a wuxia film meets Pacific Rim or something like that. Yeah. So good luck to her, and I can't wait to hear or see her in another video going and then talking about her experiences.
So my movie got picked up.
Just kind of going around the dribs and drabs of the other movies. We don't have a lot of like main Marvel or DC news this week. I will say that they have picked some writers for the Fantastic Four movie.
Interesting.
So we've talked about how Matt Shackman, former writer and producer of WandaVision, will be the director of the Fantastic Four film. And they have picked some writers, a guy named Jeff Kaplan and a guy named Ian Springer.
What have they
How
written before?
white do these two guys sound?
Very.
They do sound pretty white.
Yeah.
Here's what they've written before. And please don't throw up on the microphone. They're expensive.
God. Okay.
They've written Bert and Ernie's Guide to Friendship.
Oh my God.
Now it sounds like it's Bert and Ernie the Muppets. It's not.
It's not?
It's not.
Who else is Bert and Ernie?
This is an independent film from 2013, and it stars the likes of Anna Chlumsky, Kristen Milioti, and maybe somebody else that you know. Nope, that's pretty much it. It's just like a comedy, a 30-something comedy from 2013.
Why call it Bert and Ernie? That's brand confusion.
They got away with it. Here's something else that they've written. In 2014, they wrote a movie called The Last of the Great Romantics.
Okay. Starring
Kumail Nanjiani, but not even starting. He was George the Counter guy and Eliza Skinner, the comedian. So nobody.
Okay.
And that's in 2014. Next credit, Fantastic Four, 2024. I don't understand. I don't understand anything. I don't know who these guys are blowing. I don't know who they paid to. I don't understand.
I don't understand
and you go,
either.
wait till you watch it. Okay, I will. But at the same time, why not
Why
go
are
out?
you
Whatever happened to
these
screenwriters?
writers?
Well, we're going to talk about screenwriters and how they mess things up when we get to the Star Wars thing. No spoilers for our reaction to that. But where do these guys come from?
Well, and it's just like to Marvel, like, show your work. Like, why would you pick somebody who's got 2 credits from like almost like 10 years ago?
Literally 2 credits.
Literally 2 credits.
An episode of Adam TV, which I'm assuming is some kind of web show or like, just web series. And that's it. Oh, camera and electrical department.
What?
This guy was a grip in 2004 on What Happened to Branson's Eye. So here's the thing. You and I, we were talking about auditioning and resumes earlier today.
Yeah.
If you've you reach a certain point of accomplishment where like your high school and college stuff comes off the resume, right? That came off my resume a long time ago.
Yeah, right.
If you've got, I was the grip on a short, you probably shouldn't be writing one of the biggest, most successful properties of all time for the biggest company in the world, entertainment company.
I just don't understand. Like, do you just go into Marvel and you're like, oh, I'm such a big fan. Look at all my comics. Like, how do you?
Oh boy, if that's true, get me a meeting right now.
Well, I just literally, you probably could, because like these guys literally have 2 credits and is that all you need? I mean, it kind of feels like it. And it's, I feel like we've been let down by the writing lately in Marvel films. So
Yeah, I do too.
So
I do too.
This does not fill me with a good feeling. I feel very trepidatious about this, and I feel
this is concerning.
it's very concerning.
Is that a word?
Yes, it is a word.
I feel like I've only seen that on the internet. People are saying it's very concerning.
Or is it disconcerting?
Well, there's something can be disconcerting. But I don't know if something can be concerning, but it doesn't matter. People say it, so it's just a word now.
It is just a word now. I'm not happy about this news.
Me either. And that's it. They've also got K-pop Lost in America is in pre-production. That is by director J.K. Yoon, who seems to be a Korean director.
Okay.
So I don't know if this is his first Western film. Oh, stars Rebel Wilson. Okay, well, so that doesn't mean anything.
All right.
And then a movie called Disaster Wedding, which could either be a bridesmaid type thing that has, let's say, a Kristen Wiig attached, or could be Disaster Wedding sounds like scary movie, or like a parody of a wedding crasher movie.
It sounds like a parody, or it almost sounds like a reality TV show.
So,
I
don't know, man. I don't know. The pitch must have been awesome.
How awesome does the pitch need to be for Marvel to say yes to you?
Here's the thing. It has to be good. Now, I know that historically Marvel has not recently cared at all about the Fantastic Four because they were owned by a different company.
Yeah.
And we don't do that anymore, right? Ike Perlmutter has no creative control, or at least he can't say yes or no to things. And so obviously we want to exploit this brand. But it's seen as for kids. And I think that that's fine. Yeah. I love the Fantastic Four. I don't think it has to be for kids. No. Is a Pixar movie for kids? A Pixar kid doesn't want to see Bing Bong fade away.
Right.
They're for everybody.
Right.
So why can't you just work your magic? Get Andrew Stanton or somebody. Get somebody who's in the doghouse in Pixar to do this live action thing, right?
Sure.
They must have had a good pitch about, we're going to fix your problem. We know how to make the Fantastic Four cool for the 18 to 35 demographic that you want so bad. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking. I can't think of a non-cynical explanation for this.
I can't either. And that's, okay.
So anyway, feeling real bad
about
the Fantastic Four film. Don't want it to fail, but like Neil Gaiman, maybe I'll hope secretly that it fails and then we can cast the die again. Because honestly, didn't really love WandaVision either.
No, I didn't either.
Although the family dynamic, which they're clearly ripping off the Incredibles, probably just do that, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Since the Incredibles are a rip off of the Fantastic Four anyway.
Right.
You want to see a good Fantastic Four movie? Watch the Incredibles.
Yeah, that's true.
1 or 2.
Yeah, they're both good.
I haven't seen 2 in a while, but I believe that it is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a baby fights a raccoon.
Yes.
So that's kind of what you're going for. Let's talk about the Scanners series, which is in development at HBO with David Cronenberg producing. We're going to see a Scanners show set in the universe. Oh,
I don't know.
It's one of his films. It's one of his classic films.
I haven't seen it.
Guy's head blows up, right?
Okay.
No?
I got nothing.
Okay. It's about people with mind powers. They blow people's heads up.
Okay. All right.
This is for the audience. There will be an HBO show at Scanners. David Cronenberg's attached.
Okay. That's cool. How do you feel about that?
Well, I was never a huge Scanner. I was more of a Videodrome guy than a Scanner.
Well, Videodrome is weird
in
a different way.
series Videodrome?
I don't know. How do you make the story longer?
Is it about a TV show? I can't remember.
Yeah. I don't remember either.
It's about a TV network, right?
I think
James
so.
Woods works for a TV network. Give me that. Give me the good stuff.
Right. I mean, maybe you could somehow. I just don't know how you would do it because it fits so nicely into a film,
Right, but I'm saying, all right, anyway. So here's another horror creator, Clive Barker.
Yeah.
Is not around anymore. Well, he's around, but he's just not doing anything. But his Hellraiser is, of course, going to be a movie on Hulu.
Is it a movie or is it a series?
It is a movie.
Oh, why did I think it was a series?
Because it's a movie? I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't know why you thought that.
I don't know.
It probably should be a series.
But there's a female Pinhead. I know that's what people were freaking out about. And there's been photos.
There is a female Pinhead.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So, yeah.
That being said,
yeah,
Jamie Clayton, trans actress, is playing Pinhead. So maybe that's...
sorry.
So I wanted to agree with you that there is a female Pinhead. That being said...
Maybe it should be a trans
people are probably
Pinhead.
freaking out because it's Jamie Clayton.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to know what my complaint is here?
Yes.
My complaint is the more we talk about Pinhead, the less interesting Hellraiser gets.
I agree.
When Pinhead shows up and he tells you about all the sights that he's got to show you.
Right.
And he's something that is, forbidding. He's
weird and
mysterious. You don't want to go with Pinhead.
No.
You don't want that.
No.
It's really about Larry, right?
Yes.
And what's her name? And Ashley. Like, that's what the story's about.
It's about the family.
Right.
Yeah.
And you might think, oh, people don't do that anymore. People want to follow a monster. That's why, the Prey movie is like, some of it is going with Comanche Naru, who's, trying to become a good hunter. But a lot of it is like, whoa, sick kill, skull predator guy. We can see him like, and then he flips the trap up and he hits a guy in the head and then he just throws the thing. And it's like, it's not, he's supposed to be a scary monster who hides in the jungle the entire time.
Yeah, right.
And then just blows Bill Duke's face off with a laser or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, but casting Jamie Clayton, who's a pretty good actress, clearly we're going to focus in on Pinhead. So
yeah.
I don't know. I hope it's good. I kind of doubt it, though.
I don't know. I got my trepidations.
Plus, it's
about
on Hulu.
I know.
What if they send the Fantastic Four movie to Hulu?
That'd be weird.
Just direct to video.
That would be weird and upsetting.
That's kind of how they're treating it.
I'd
you know
be
who wouldn't
upset.
let their project go to Hulu?
Who?
James Cameron.
Oh, is that right?
James Cameron, who is doing a lot of interviews now because, of course, the new
Blue
Cat
Cats.
movie is looming. He was being interviewed recently, and he said, with the New York Times, and he told the New York Times that when he was making Titanic, those 20th Century Fox executives, they were always trying to note him to death. They're telling him about this, they're telling him about that. And he said to them, F your notes. I made Titanic. And it paid for your $500 million studio.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not taking your notes.
Sure. Okay. I can see that. I mean, he's kind of cocky, but he's got a reason to be. So
James Cameron?
A little bit.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. A little bit.
Don't make James Cameron right. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Let James Cameron bury James Cameron.
Yeah.
And when I think about James Cameron, he hasn't really done it yet. Like, what's his worst movie? Not
That's
producing,
a
just
great
something that he
question.
literally directed. Like Battle Angel Alita doesn't count, which I enjoyed, but
I did too. I don't know. I feel like he has a lot of really good movies, and even like
the guy calls his shots.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, this guy just won't stop talking. J.J. Abrams the other day. And now J.J. Abrams has only directed 6 movies.
That just like blew my mind when you told me that. Like, I did not understand that before you told me that.
And if you don't count Piranha 2, actually, let's count Piranha 2. James Cameron has only directed 8 movies.
Is that right?
Yes. If you don't count the back-to-back documentaries he did for Disney.
That is
the ocean.
Weird to think about.
So but how many movies do you have to direct when each one of your movies goes on to make, over $500 million?
Not a whole lot.
I would think The Abyss is probably his least successful film.
I love The Abyss.
I love it too.
Yeah.
But it was not necessarily well received. Well, come on, Craft Disservices, and talk about The Abyss.
Okay. I'll do that.
So anyway, but at this point, look, clearly I don't just take whatever comes down the pipe. And I love Robert Altman, but I'm not Robert Altman when I'm like, I just wanted to do this with Keith Carradine this week because we were talking about this.
Right.
And then, I'll give you a Prairie Home Companion because that's got a built-in audience or whatever. And it's like, all right, we'll just pay for, or like Woody Allen, who has apparently unretired or said, I didn't really meant that I didn't say that I retired when they quoted me and said that.
Sure.
I'm just going to make a movie and I'm so-and-so. So you're going to take the movie and it's, either going to do well or it's not. He's clearly a guy who goes, look, I have an idea. Would you like another $500 million?
Yeah.
Now, sure, no one can predict infallibly whether the movie will be a success or not, but I made Terminator 2.
I know.
I made Titanic.
I know.
I made Avatar. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, True Lies did good.
I know.
So don't tell me what to do with my blue cats.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
right.
Like, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
When one of the 4 planned Avatar sequels goes bad, then maybe you can come in and give me some notes. I'm kind of like, but also he's like a huge egomaniac.
I know.
So like, don't make James Cameron right.
I agree. Although I'm not super excited about the Avatar films. Like, I remember when the first one came out, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I'll see it, but I'm not like, oh my God, it's so amazing. And like I was before.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm excited about.
What?
And that is Vince Gilligan's new series.
I'm super excited too. I read about this.
It's not going to be Back to Huel, unfortunately.
I know. It's a bummer. You had such
a good
idea.
I wanted the development money on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is going to star Rhea Seehorn.
I know.
So
That's
he's
exciting.
working with her again. It's on Apple TV Plus, and it has a 2-season order.
Which is pretty great.
Well, I mean, that's the story of streaming, right? 2 seasons and out.
Well,
but we'll
to
at least
start with
get
that.
the 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I wonder what he'll do.
With what?
Let me tell you what I mean by that.
Yes, please do.
He, for his entire career, has either been on Fox broadcast or on AMC basic cable.
Yeah.
So what's he going to do with an Apple TV Plus?
Well, I read that this is like a reconnection with him with some producers he's worked with before, I think, that are at Apple Plus now. So he's excited to be working with them again, I think. So, I mean, it is a little interesting that like that's his background. And I think there was a bidding war, from what I understand, on this TV show.
Yes. Yes. He was looking for like around 15 million an episode, which is
Holy cow.
very high for a drama. If it's going to be a drama, that would be very high for a drama. I'm sure the Gilded Age spends at least that much every episode.
Yeah. Wow.
So maybe it'll be a period thing. I don't know.
I'm not sure what it's going to be. From what I read, he said that this is the only clue that I got out of the entire article that I read about what it's going to be about, is he said that he was tired of writing anti-heroes. And, Rhea Seehorn deserves her own show. And so I think, definitely it's going to star her, obviously, and she's not going to be an anti-hero. That's the only clue. He wouldn't say anything else. So... Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a mixture of drama and comedy, right? Because that's like his style.
Well,
do you think it's going to be fantasy?
Well, here's the deal. So Deadline was, and this is reporting speculation, basically. So grain of salt. But Deadline has said that the series has been compared to The Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Set in our world,
about that. Okay.
But kind of like, reality bending and exploring the human condition.
Interesting.
So whether or not it is standalone anthology or picture yourself going on a journey beyond sight and sound.
So it almost sounds kind of X-Files-y too. Just saying.
Yeah. All right.
Just saying.
All right.
No shame in that, Vince.
To genre TV.
Yeah.
For that, not crime genre for Vince Gilligan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm excited because his shows, I've really liked the TV he's done. He did a great job even on X-Files. So like he just, I think he knows how to write really well, and he has an idea of where he's going, I think. I mean, at least they have an idea of where they're going each season, right? And they kind of like build it up and at least storyboard it, at least, I think.
I think they do not do storyboards.
Oh, they don't?
I think they've said that specifically.
Oh, okay.
I mean, clearly they plan stuff. Clearly they have
plan it.
long-term plans. But at least for Breaking Bad, many of the season-ending cliffhangers of Breaking Bad, I think, were designed specifically to go, okay, we're going to write until we can't write anymore, and now what? and then everybody go home and take, 2 weeks off or 6 weeks off or whatever. And we'll come back and we'll try to figure out how to get Walt out of this.
Well,
I don't think they planned that far ahead.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what they did with Farscape too, right? They always had like this huge cliffhanger.
I have no idea.
What do you mean?
I don't, and look, I like Farscape. I don't know a ton about how Farscape was made, and I was hoping to learn all that with my new podcast about Farscape.
Yeah, I know.
Which I ended up not doing.
I know.
So vote today. Let us know if you want me to continue and do the Farscape podcast. Here's something else that might be good news. So, remember True Detective? We all do.
I do.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going to watch it now. That HBO Max is going to be gone.
Yeah, I know.
But a 4th season was announced a while ago. Not a while ago, but fairly recently.
Mm-hmm.
And Jodie Foster was going to star.
Yes.
They have announced recently the addition of some new cast members.
I heard about this
too. To this thing. Check it out.
Yeah.
We're going to have Christopher Eccleston.
Yay.
In this thing. We're going to have Fiona Shaw in this thing.
All right.
Most recently seen in Andor.
She's in Andor?
Yeah, she's the old lady in Andor.
The old lady in Andor. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Also in Killing Eve.
I don't remember her in Killing Eve.
She's Eve's boss. Or not.
Okay.
Yeah, Eve's boss. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Got it.
And John Hawkes.
Yes.
Of
Deadwood.
everything. Guy's been around. But yeah, played Saul Star in Deadwood.
Mm-hmm.
So good talent coming in here.
It's a good cast. I guess I need to go back because I haven't watched season 3 yet of True Detective. I think I've seen the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I just
haven't done it.
Got busy.
Just haven't gotten around
Plus,
to it.
a lot of people didn't like the 2nd season, so maybe I could be not blamed for not wanting to follow Nick Pizzolatto down another hole. But here's a description for the new season. When the long winter night falls in Ennis, Alaska, the 6 men that operate the Salal Arctic Research Station vanish without a trace. To solve the case, detectives Liz Danvers and Evangeline Navarro will have to confront the darkness they carry in themselves and dig into the haunted truths that lie buried under the eternal ice. Now, a couple things here. Mm-hmm. This just sounds like The Thing. First of all, it also sounds like, Eccleston, do you only want to work in the snow from now on?
What is that?
Fortitude.
TV show?
Fortitude.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
You just, I want to be in a parka and that's it. That's not how he sounds. And so, yeah, I don't know. And then also, like, I guess they'll be like sheriff deputy detectives. Like, they won't be like murder police detectives. So,
oh, interesting.
I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, I think I'll have to check that out at some point. So,
Cary Fukunaga not involved. Thank God. Don't want that guy.
Well, yeah.
Don't know. Don't know how that turned out. When I don't hear anything, I just assume it was real, and we're not going to hear it from that guy again. It's like I haven't heard from Bryan Singer in a while. There hasn't been like a Bryan Singer comeback tour.
The Cary Fukunaga thing, was it harassment or was it grooming or was it both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the whole thing.
Okay.
The whole deal.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay. Well, maybe that's why season 4 hasn't gotten off the ground yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we need a new director
and
co-producer. Who's going to pick up that phone?
Good question.
Let's talk about the Netflix sequel, Alex Foley, sequel to the popular, long time ago, Beverly Hills Cop series.
Wow.
It will reunite the original stars because that makes sense.
What?
Eddie Murphy, Judge Reinhold, Paul Reiser, John Ashton, and Bronson Pinchot all back for the upcoming sequel. I didn't know John Ashton was still alive. I'm glad he is. I like John Ashton.
Huh.
I'm going to double check on that, in fact.
Okay,
see
if
this isn't computerized footage or something like that.
Yeah, this isn't old news.
He's got to be a million years old by now.
Well.
Okay, he's alive, and he is a million years old.
Oh my gosh.
He's just got that God, he's only 74. That means that he was in like his early 40s when he was playing like old guy in movies and TV.
Some people just have.
He's a 3-pack a
old
day
man
looking
face.
guy. Yeah, I think
that's. Sorry.
He got a lot of help with
yeah,
that.
City Miles.
Like him though.
Yeah.
Netflix picked up the rights to this in 2019, and so they're going to make a Beverly Hills Cop movie. Hey,
wow.
They made a Coming to America movie.
Yeah, they did. I guess that's just kind of what Eddie Murphy's doing now.
Yeah,
so.
making that. He's got the good Adam Sandler deal. Not the bad one where he just makes crap.
Just makes whatever the hell he wants, and it's terrible. Yeah.
So anyway, let's see what happens with that.
Okay.
Big fan?
I don't remember if I've ever seen it.
You never seen Beverly Hills Cop?
I don't know if I ever
We
have.
gotta fix that when this thing comes out.
Okay. All right.
Do a big thing on that.
Okay.
How about this? Tom Hardy
Yeah.
has been in the news. Good reasons.
Okay.
Good reasons.
Let's hear it.
Tom Hardy walked in to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu championship
Okay.
in England.
Okay.
Just showed up
Okay.
as his under his real name, Edward Hardy. Yes, his real name is Ed Hardy.
Wow.
And he won.
He entered the tournament and he won?
He just walked in and he won. He got gold medal. He won this. He kicked everybody's ass. He's Tom Hardy.
Holy crap! That is amazing. What an amazing story. I love him even more now,
And
knowing that.
Look,
oh my God.
We've talked about his looks before, and I've tried to say, is Tom okay? You should see pictures of him. He's in a blue gi, which is open to the waist, because of course it is.
Uh-huh.
And he's got a lot of tattoos. Like, I didn't know that he had this many tattoos. And he looks like if his character from Taboo was shipwrecked. Wait, that literally happened.
Yeah.
Was shipwrecked again.
Yeah.
And then was rescued later. That's how he looks. He's got a huge beard, and he's got like beyond bedhead. Like it's just like this screwed down, like greasy head of hair.
Oh my god.
And he's just looking like, whatever. And he's like holding up his little certificate. He won. So I don't know, man.
What's going on with Tom Hardy?
Well, who knew that there were Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu championships in England?
I had
Milton
no idea.
Keynes, England, of all places.
What is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
It's just Jiu-Jitsu from Brazil. It's on the tin.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So he must have trained in that for like a movie or something, or picked it up somewhere, and then he's just like, I'm going to do this tournament.
First of all, he's we know this about him. He's a fitness enthusiast.
Yes.
Second of all, he's a badass who likes martial arts.
Yeah.
Third of all, he played Tommy Conlon in the movie Warrior, which was a movie about MMA fighters. And of course, he's I can't remember who the other guy in that was. God knows if that guy did anything. But Tom Hardy is a method actor. And so he probably,
picked up jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, joined as a white belt and then let people beat on him until he burned the entire place down and walked away without looking at it. But apparently he's got some time on his hands. So he just went and just crushed the dreams of a bunch of young jiu-jitsu people. He's not young either. He's in his early 40s.
How old were the other competitors?
No clue. And who even knows, like, you're imagining, like, a bunch of, like, first of all, could be men or women. Who are we kidding, right?
Yes.
I don't know who's entering this thing. But you're picturing, like, a bunch of lithe, dudes who are doing kip-ups and one-finger push-ups and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's true. It could be just a bunch of, like, guys who are also enthusiasts, big guts, going in and just doing, like, hand locks on each other. A bunch of Steven Seagal types, right? And then, like, Tom Hardy comes in, boom, door closes with the rain and wind outside, pulls off his sealskin, cloak with a blue gi underneath, and puts the cursed emerald that gives him his power in the hands of his catamite, and then he so, oh my God, we're all going to die. Bane's going to kill us all.
This could be like a movie, I feel like. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like Jean-Claude Van Damme has played this guy before.
Yeah, he has been this guy, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of really amazing, though. I don't know. That's like my favorite story so far tonight, I think.
So anyway, we'll see. I don't think he said anything about it. I didn't see an interview with him. You think the first thing you do is run up and try to get an interview, but I think people are just like, is that his name was Ed?
Were they like confused? Did they like not know it was him?
He's got a lot of tattoos, but is that Ed Hardy or?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So anyway,
oh my God.
Let's talk one more story before we move on to our feature. So we are not going to get a new Shining film. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Not going to happen. There is a planned sequel.
I'm okay with that.
There was a sequel. So there already was kind of a sequel, right? Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
The director of Dr. Sleep, Mike Flanagan, had planned another sequel to Dr. Sleep that would be a more direct sequel to The Shining.
Okay.
And he said that the bad box office of Dr. Sleep is the reason why Warner Brothers isn't moving forward. Of course, Warner Brothers is cutting everything these days.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
probably more of that than anything else. But yeah, Mike, I think if people don't like your movie, you probably don't get another movie.
That's kind of how it works.
You're not entitled to... Who are you, Colin Trevorrow? You're
Yeah,
not
what the
entitled to
hell?
these films.
No.
So sorry, The Adventures of the Hat won't continue. I didn't see Dr. Sleep. I don't care.
I didn't
I
either.
don't care at all.
I also, like, The Shining is such a good movie, like, on its own.
Which you are honoring no one, because Stanley Kubrick is not with us anymore.
Right.
And he wouldn't have even known or cared that you did it in the first place. Stephen King hates the movie The Shining. So if you were to, say, make a sequel to his 1992 TV miniseries starring the guy from Wings, maybe that would impress Stephen King. He doesn't care that you're making a sequel to The Shining, the movie. So literally, who is this for?
Shining enthusiasts, but I don't know.
But Shining
who
enthusiasts,
are they?
first of all, they're already worked up over Ready Player One. Second of all, there's no way that you're going to get it all right, because this thing is going to be focus tested. I'm sure the novel that Stephen King probably, wrote under duress, which was a sequel to The Shining, also probably was disliked by King fans. Although King fans, man, he wipes his ass and they'll put it in the Library of Congress.
I know.
But so this is just like, this is for no one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they saw Blade Runner 2049, another thing that you probably just shouldn't have made, and the somewhat good response to that, which I think is just a bunch of people going, I like it. It's an ocean walker.
Yeah.
And they thought, we'll just get some money off of this, but it did not work.
No, it did not. And I'm okay with that, because who wants a Shining sequel anyways? That's all I have to say.
Who wants a movie about a white guy who finds a magic person of color? This is just everything that Stephen King does, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always some white guy. And he's, he's got a good heart. He's seen some things. He's done some things, but he's got a good heart.
Oh
and he's a writer, or he's something.
Yep.
Sometimes he's a rock star. And then he finds a magical toddler / grandma / mute guy, soldier, prisoner, who's going to show us what it's like to live.
Right.
Show us what it's really like to live.
I know.
Yeah. I got to tell you, Steven, I'm tired, boss.
I know.
I'm tired of what you do.
I know.
This ain't your daddy's Star Wars.
Yeah, I know.
This is for older daddies. This is for revolutionary daddies.
Okay.
Telling stories about fighting the Empire.
That's right.
No Star Wars has ever been about fighting an empire. Let's see what happens this time around. The series is called Andor.
Yes.
Because all Star Wars series must be the name of somebody. Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, Andor, Ahsoka.
The Mandalorian.
Technically a name.
Yes.
What's Jar Jar?
Yeah,
Coming
right.
2024. Jar Jar. You so gonna believe a man can fly.
Oh my God, no.
What happens in
What's
Andor?
gonna happen? So he's on this planet.
Andor.
Yeah. That's like, first of all, the credits take forever. And it's just like the name Andor. So I guess they save some money there. But anyways, he goes to this planet. It's like the Blade Runner planet. I can't remember what it's actually.
We're going scene by scene.
Yeah. And we find out he's looking for his sister. He goes to this adult club.
Brothel. They say the word.
Okay, they say the word brothel.
This ain't your daddy's Star
That's right.
Wars. There are brothels.
There are brothels.
We all know what those Twi'leks are up to.
Right. He goes to a brothel and he's looking for his sister. He's looking for a girl from, I believe it's Canary is the name of the planet that they were originally from.
I think, yeah, I guess. I thought that was their race. But maybe that makes sense. The planet's
I think
Canary.
it's the
Doesn't matter.
planet.
I don't want to really talk about it or think about it.
And
he meets a Dick Tracy villain. It is Lady Flat Top.
Yeah, I know, right?
And she says she's not here.
And there are some cops at the bar, and they're giving him
They're
kind of a
security
hard
guards.
time. Are they security guards?
Well, what is a cop in this world? But they make
I
the
don't know.
point that they aren't like really cops, like they're corporate security. But I mean, if the corporation is
play like
essentially
they're
the
cops.
government,
Yeah.
I guess in this world, stormtroopers would be cops.
I guess.
Or the Nazi-looking guys that walk around with stormtroopers. It's
Yeah.
like these guys are just corporate security.
Okay. But they follow him out, and they basically shake him down, and
Kneel on his neck and
yeah, and so he like turns
Is that what we're doing?
kind of.
All right, continue.
And then he like turns on them, and he accidentally kills one of the guys, and the other guy freaks out, and he's like, "We'll just tell him that like he like slipped and hit his head, and we'll go and we'll tell him right now. I don't know who we're gonna tell, the security force or whatever. And we'll just go and tell him what happens." And like Andor just like shoots him, and then like gets off the planet as fast as he can. And this is the inciting incident. He's like, okay, I got to get off of my planet. I got to get all my affairs in order, and I got to disappear for a while. I got to lay low.
Kind of seemed like he was going to do that anyway. Because
No, he was looking for his sister.
Right.
And he still has like no leads as to where she
right,
is.
but the thing but where did he get the box? He had that before, didn't he?
He'd had that before.
All right, so then he was always going to get a bunch of money and leave.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No. So he's basically the rest of the plot of the 3 episodes is he's working with people to like corroborate his story of where he was that night. So he has an alibi.
The thrilling double checking our stories scenes.
I know. And then make sure he has a plan for getting paid for this. It's like a box from the Empire like ship, but it's kind of like a mystery box. It seems like to me, it's just like, it's the thing that's going to be my golden ticket off this planet. And he's going to get a lot of money for it. And he asks his friend Bix, who's a mechanic, to get the guy. And we don't know much about it. Ends up being still in Skarsgård, but we don't know a whole lot about him. But he's do.
He's part of the Rebel Alliance. We know that.
Okay, well, he's part of the Rebel Alliance.
I mean, they don't say that, but we know that.
Okay, and like he wanted to meet Andor, and so she contacts him, and he comes, and meanwhile the security force, there's this one guy who is really keen on solving this mystery, the murder mystery, on like who committed this murder of these 2 security guards. And his boss is just like, forget about it. They obviously got into a fight with some guy at the bar, and they messed with the wrong guy, and they got killed. Just don't worry about it. We'll come up with some story. And this one guy is like really not happy about it, and he kind of reminds me of Kyle MacLachlan. So he's like a Kyle MacLachlan type, except he's not as good of an actor as Kyle MacLachlan. No. So it's kind of an insult to him. But he's determined to find Andor, and so eventually, as the episodes go on, they do some tracking, and they're looking for a guy from Kenari, and the guy who Bix is dating actually calls them because there's something that goes out about a guy from Kenari who resembles Andor's description. And so he calls it in, and he tells them it's Cassie and Andor. And so then they have a warrant for his arrest, and they're going to go and get him off of the planet that he's on, which I can't remember. It's like Ferrix,
yes,
I think, which is like kind of a industrial planet. They do a lot of mining and junkyard stuff, and it's very community based. They don't trust the security guards, so and then the security guards come, but at the same time Stellan Skarsgård is there, and he meets up with Andor, and he's gonna try to sell him the box, but then they get surrounded by the cops. The cops go to Andor's, basically his mother figure, who has kind of raised him, but kind of not. She kind of kidnapped him.
We haven't even got to that yet.
I know.
Let's just get through this.
Okay. And so they basically, they kill a lot of these security guards, trying to get their escape, and they blow them up, and there's a lot of fighting. But
they're not faceless stormtroopers.
No.
They specifically do not have any helmets on.
No.
We see their faces. We see the emotions that they feel.
Yeah.
This is, and also, I think the show does a bad job of it, but this is a situation where they think that they have authority and they come into a community that is united against them.
Yes.
And so it becomes, I don't think we're supposed to necessarily feel sympathetic for them, but they do seem human. It reminds me of like Black Hawk Down.
Okay.
Where like the Black Hawk Down, the American, soldiers, the recon guys go in, but and their helicopter crashes. And so they send people in thinking, oh, we're the U.S. military, we're going to be fine. But you have an entire city that you're unfamiliar with because they don't even know the names of the streets and is united against you. And so suddenly you are behind enemy lines. Like you are in a lot of danger here.
Yeah, that is very similar
and
to
that
the
is
situation.
not set up in any way until we hit that part of the third episode. It also reminds me of the beginning of In the Name of the Father, when Daniel Day-Lewis's character is just kind of screwing around.
Yeah.
And like he does something. He's got somebody takes a shot at him. Right? There's a sniper. There's like so the IRA, right? They're in Ireland. There's the British occupation troops, and they end up chasing him. But as they're chasing him, they get deeper and deeper into the neighborhoods, down Falls Road or whatever.
Yes.
And so everybody starts banging on the doors and the walls and stuff like that.
Yes, to distract them. And
everything.
everything.
And then by the time Daniel Day-Lewis gets to home, like there's an entire riot going on because this community has been activated against this very small force of territorial army guys that have like come into the neighborhood. That's what they're going for. Whether they established it or had a conflict like the IRA in Northern Ireland that we all understand, we can talk about it in a little bit.
They had like one line when the security guards were on their way there saying like, we're going into a community where people might not be very happy to see us.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was all they did to establish that.
Right. But otherwise, it's just a bunch of characters whose names we don't know, and a Cassian talking to one person, and then going and talking to somebody else, and then talking to somebody else, and then like talking to his robot, and then talking to somebody else.
A lot of characters.
Also talking to somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
None of whom are important or are going to come back ever again.
No.
And then I'll take it away. There's also flashbacks that are very confusingly placed throughout the narrative, where we find out that Cassian is initially Cassa, and he grew up in a Lord of the Flies commune with a bunch of other kids.
Yep.
We are given to understand that it's probably Primor, the corporation that they're fighting against in the present. But there was a mining planet, Konari, where there was a big accident that killed all the adults, and so they're left behind, and a ship crashes. Somebody's ship, Empire perhaps, or a corporation ship crashes, and they go to raid it, and he's sort of separated from his group and taken away by Fiona Shaw and her partner.
Yes.
To be raised on a different planet. Because that's what you do.
Yeah.
You go, oh, a kid, we'll take that with a good salvage.
I'm not going to, it's weird because it feels like she's kidnapping him. They put a dart in him and they take him.
Right.
But she's like, I'm not going to leave him to get killed.
Because the Empire will presumably kill him when they show up. Yeah.
And they're going to be there any minute.
Right.
So
glad we saw all that. So glad we took the time to create an entire... All of that could have been related. Just like, remember when I did this?
Exposition.
I mean, nobody likes that.
Yeah.
And I guess you have to spend $20 million on each episode. But... I presume we're never going to go back to the Lord of the Flies, right?
I don't think so.
So why cast 30 kids? Why have an entire parallel storyline?
For 3 episodes,
I want to warn the audience. I don't want to speak for you. Neither of us like this very much. And so if you don't want to hear us, let's say, not curb stomp Andor, but provide rigid sort of instruction and criticism to Andor, then you maybe just want to check out our social media, Just Enough Trope, go to the Discord, yell at us for not liking it. Yeah. But we're going to spend 20 minutes talking about how I don't think it's very good. Right. And it isn't the adult elements, although they're a little surprising. The first time that I heard Tilly use the F word in Discovery, I was like, do we want to do this?
Yeah, I know.
And when we start in a brothel.
Yeah.
And we end with a guy just being like, shit. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I was like, do we want to do this? This is what people really come to Star Trek for? I know that, or for Star Wars for, I know that Star Trek did that very cynically. Yeah. They're like, we're on cable. What can we get away with?
Right.
You'll notice no one has said the F word since on Star Trek.
They did it for a couple
because
of
they
episodes,
went,
and then
oh
they were
no,
like,
I'm never doing that again.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after Star Wars is Disney very much more cautious than Paramount, which has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And so this is them kind of going, ass. Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Right.
We're going to live like kings. Damn hell ass kings.
Right.
Which is what those kids, we could have had fun with the kids.
Yeah.
They're like the Chiss family Robinson.
Oh my gosh.
That's for Star Wars fans. That's a Star Wars joke.
Oh my gosh.
But otherwise, this has the same ridiculous, unproductive, and confusing structure of, say, a Rogue One.
It does.
And it is written by Tony Gilroy, the guy who wrote Rogue One.
So it makes sense.
And when you watch Rogue One, you go, this isn't paced very well. And there's all these flashbacks, and I'm not sure, I guess I know what's going on, but I don't feel like I'm consuming the story very well or in an interesting way. You think, well, that's down to the fact that they basically fired like Gareth Edwards and brought Tony Gilroy in to rewrite and reshoot a lot of it. Then you see him write and produce a show that he has complete control over, and you go, oh no, that's just how you write. You
It's
write,
very confusing.
You write like you forgot something and you got to remind us of it. And I'm like, hey, buddy, you can put scenes anywhere. And then the times that they're obviously doing something on purpose are just like not good times. So they're like having this flashback of like, we're seeing what happens in his past, on the old planet and on the new planet. And then he's like, oh, he's being like kind of rescued by these two mentor figures. So what if we kind of like montage and like match cut these things? So as Stellan Skarsgård's flying him away, he's remembering young Fiona Shaw. And I'm like, why? Who cares? What's the point of merging these 2 points of the narrative right now?
I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. They are very similar. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Can Star Wars ever get away from that? Why does it always do that?
I don't know. And it just feels like you're talking down to the audience. And I don't appreciate that either. And the flashbacks, as you said, it was just very confusing how they were thrown in. And
I wasn't confused. I knew why they were doing it. I just think that it's dumb.
There was no like music cues. There was no like, we're going to flashback or this is a flashback now. And it was just like flashback and then current scene.
You know how like
it's like, what?
Rhymes aren't funny, even though I have a whole segment on another podcast we do where we just rhyme 2 things and it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
But you're like, that's not sophisticated humor. You know what I mean? This is not sophisticated filmmaking. Simply pointing out that at 2 times in his life he flew a spaceship away from something is not like, that's not a huge brainstorm. Do you know what I mean?
It's not.
But like that's what Tony Gilroy wants to do. Here's something else. So we've talked in the past about how like the first 3 episodes are the pilot, right? Yeah. It's literally that in this.
It is.
To the point where all of the real inciting incident is the corporate authority. I like everything in theory. I like the idea that a guy, a rent-a-cop, a guy who is not a cop, even though does what is a cop in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You're using, they're the boys in blue. They're using all these real-world things that I'm not sure map into a fictional universe. It's bad enough when the Empire guys in the 70s all are wearing like essentially Nazi uniforms.
Yeah.
And everybody working on the crew might have fought in World War II against, or their dad did against the Nazis, shooting this at Pinewood Studios, in England.
Yeah, right.
So that's like, okay, fine. But then we all, like when Dominic Monaghan is literally like lividly screaming in front of Nazi banners in Force Awakens, we all dislike that, right?
It's too much.
It's too far.
Yeah.
They're trying to do that again with this. So maybe if this was just general sci-fi world, the idea of a very plausible scenario where a guy who is, a trumped up rent-a-cop who wants to show these people who's boss, takes his team into an environment that he does not understand and underestimates. I can see that's kind of interesting. But is he the main character? Is this called Rent-a-Cop? It's called Andor.
I think he's the main
Why are they making them
antagonist.
so... Like, I don't want to get down on them for making the bad guys sympathetic, but I started to feel bad for those guys at one point. I was like, they don't know. And yeah, they shot Tim. Nice space name, Tim.
2 M's.
But the guy who shot Tim is clearly terrified. He doesn't know what Tim is, if Tim's got a gun. And again, we just went through this and are still going through it today.
Yep.
But like, why this? Why are we exploring this, Tony Gilroy?
Well, I saw somebody on Facebook saying, okay, spoilers for Andor. Andor is ABCAP. And I'm like, is it?
Or is it pro-cab?
It's kind of confusing if it's trying to be. I don't know that it's trying to be ABCAP.
Did you ever see Fruitvale Station?
Yes, I believe I did.
Fruitvale Station is, for people who don't know, is Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, pre-Black Panther days or Creed days. And it's about a real story about a guy who, this kid who was just a kid. Like, he's just nothing particularly special about him. And it sort of follows a day in his life. And spoiler alert for the end of Fruitvale Station, but he is brutally murdered on the BART by this cop who, who killed him. It's just like everything that's going on right now. He killed this guy. Yeah. And the guy didn't have a gun. There's nothing like that.
No.
And so the movie doesn't necessarily, we don't really follow the cops. It's not like we're following, I can't remember the actor's name, but you know him. He plays, he usually plays like trumped up guys with guns.
Okay.
It's not like we follow him throughout his day.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be a shock because we're seeing this guy. It's sort of this relationship drama. He's trying to make it work with this girl. And it's like, oh, maybe he's going to make it work. And then he's just brutally murdered by this cop.
Yeah. And she gets pushed around and her head is bloody and everything too. It's
but he gets killed.
I know.
But in the scene where the cop kills the guy, we do see that the cop is scared. He's being violent and he's being brutal, but he's scared. And I think if we were going to put on trial the system, we would put on trial a system that trains these guys, gives them guns, and tells them that they are going into a war zone. Yeah. Right? That is the real indictment here. Mm-hmm. But he didn't have to pull the trigger. No. Neither did Derek Chauvin, didn't need to kneel on anybody's neck, and so on and so on and so forth. So we are asked maybe slightly to understand, but not sympathize with him. We are essentially like, I kind of sympathize with these guys. Mm-hmm. They are not cartoonishly evil like Admiral Piet and his stormtroopers and everything like that.
Right. They're not faceless stormtroopers either. Right.
What's up, show? Like, where are we going with this? Are we going to continue to follow these guys? And they spared the one guy for a reason. Because remember, this show opens with Cassian Andor shooting a guy in the face who was just picking on him.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but then he spares the life of Super Nerd. So, like, are we going to continue to follow Super Nerd?
I think so.
I don't want to. I don't care.
Kyle MacLachlan type?
I don't. I think that is the opposite of ACAB.
I think we're going to continue following
Well, that is a dumb idea, Tony Gilroy.
I think he's the main antagonist.
That's too real for this space fantasy show.
Yeah, I know.
In my opinion.
And I don't know. I feel like in Star Wars,
I don't like
I don't know. I mean, sometimes you sympathize with the bad
I don't like Andor at all.
Wars, but...
I don't know anything about him. I know that he was kidnapped as a kid. That would be tough, I guess.
Yeah.
But like literally the first time that we saw him, he murdered somebody.
In Rogue One.
And this new time that we see him, which is earlier than that, he murders somebody the first time we see him.
I don't like it.
So I'm like, I don't understand the growth. I don't understand like the path that he's on. I don't know why he's supposed to. Do you know what I mean? He's like, he's disenfranchised and like gritty. And then I guess he learns to follow the cause of the rebellion and then eventually becomes disenfranchised and gritty. Like, where are we going? This is the prequel problem. Where are we going with this?
I think you need to plan it out better, and Star Wars doesn't do a good job of that. Like, somebody who should storyboard perhaps is Star Wars, because like, it's what funny. The hell is going on?
Well, it's funny because Tony Gilroy, supposedly he is a talented writer. You know, he is Academy Award nominated for Michael Clayton. Which he also directed. Mm-hmm. Michael Clayton is okay, not great.
Yeah.
He wrote The Cutting Edge.
You mean Topic, that one?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I loved that movie.
He wrote, I think, pretty much all of the Bourne movies.
Okay.
He wrote.
Some of those are fun.
Yeah, he wrote. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
And then he was also, I think he wrote like a lot of House of Cards or something like that.
Okay.
So like, supposedly he's a good writer. But again, I was talking before about like where screenwriters come from. This is clearly a guy who's just, I'm a career screenwriter. I didn't pitch you on this Fantastic Four movie. I'm just a guy who like either wrote, one or two things that I came up with, and now you call me to fix stuff when you need a guy to fix stuff.
And do you think that like the way he's approaching it is like you and I have talked about before, sometimes with these TV shows, it's just like
Star Wars TV shows or any TV show?
Any TV show. that's streaming.
My bad.
It sometimes it's like it's a 10-hour movie or something like that.
Well, I don't know.
How many
He
episodes
is primarily a TV writer, a movie writer.
Right.
So he might be the guy that can pay this off. But even by that measure, the first 80 minutes of this show are boring.
Yeah, the first
two episodes,
yeah.
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of stuff that you could totally establish through dialogue and like what we understand.
It takes a
You know what I
really
mean?
long time to get off the ground.
Yeah, and he meets people, and there's literally like they don't tell us anything about, like, we can assume things about Andor, but then things are established. We get a character précis of Andor when he goes to meet his shipping contact, a character we have never seen and will never see again, who goes, "Oh yeah, okay, so hold on, I'm just reading my computer. Cassian Andor, this guy's, he was raised on a thing and he came from," it's like, you're just reading his character sheet, and this character, 60 minutes into like this show, is just doing that. Like, why is he doing that?
I know.
This show should be able to avoid, because Tony Gilroy is a famous and experienced movie writer, the problem that most Star Wars material has, in my opinion, which is that most Star Wars material is written by Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Right? It's very rare, I think, that you would drag Robert Towne in to write a Star Wars thing, although I'd like to see it. So we all grew up liking sci-fi and Star Wars. We are all Star Wars fans.
Uh-huh.
And the problem with being influenced by Star Wars is it's one of the least sophisticated things to be influenced by.
Yeah.
If you say grew up reading Thomas Pynchon novels, you're not going to be able to translate that completely into your screenplay, but you're going to have a sophisticated idea of how a story is told and how characters interact with each other.
Sure.
But if you grew up watching George Lucas movies,
I know.
What is that? How does that filter through to your work? You know, it becomes color forms. It becomes like your script is a coloring book. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he should be able to avoid that, but instead he's doing this winding path of like, just tell us a story. Just go 1, 2, 3. You know, get us to where we're going.
I know.
But I couldn't figure out what Andor was doing for the first like 60 minutes of this thing. And then finally you understand, oh, okay, so he's got this box.
Yeah. This magic box. We don't know.
It's not a magic box. It's a code box.
What does it do?
It's a war asset. I understood that part.
Yeah,
I didn't
okay.
exactly get where he got it from.
A ship.
He paid the guy with the dogs to let him like take things off of ships or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no like heist at the beginning or some point where we understand that like he has obtained this pearl at great price. He just kind of has this thing. And so now he wants to get off. We get that he's looking for his sister because he goes to one brothel or whatever to find her. And yes, obviously the details will be revealed as we go, but it's just a bunch of people kind of doing the middle part of stories. We would meet Bix. She would be solving some kind of mechanical problem. We understand who this character is. We understand she has some kind of contentious relationship with Andor, but they need each other.
Yeah.
And then the middle part would be she's, talking about her backstory, or she's relating something, or she's, dealing with her boyfriend or something like that.
Right.
But like all that stuff is at the beginning. So it's all these like slow bits at the beginning. And I think they thought of it as building to this action climax, which we get in the third
episode,
part.
yeah.
But it bounces around so much.
It
and
does.
the characters.
And flashbacks.
And plus stick a bunch of flashbacks in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the characters are not compelling enough to me to like really feel drawn into what's going on. If anything, I liked the idea of like a Mad Max cargo cult of space orphans who are like raiding crashed ships. Like that's the show I want to see.
Yeah, right.
But they were never serious about that.
No, they weren't.
That was never going to be a thing. Also, big white guy from New York writing a story about an indigenous person. Do we want this?
Yeah, I don't think we want that.
Race has never really mattered in Star Wars, mostly because everybody was white.
Yeah.
That was not a Freudian slip. Now it doesn't matter because everybody is whatever color.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, that's what I want. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, right.
Recast Leia as a black girl. I don't care.
Uh-huh.
But now you've got, for the first time ever, it established that apparently Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna, Mexican actor, comes from the Mexican planet?
I guess.
Because all the kids are darker than eggshell?
Yep.
And then they're talking about how he's a Qunari. Well, you know about Qunaris. Oh, well, look out for Qunaris. And it's like, I'm uncomfortable. Suddenly, for the first time, race exists in Star Wars. And they're profiling him. They're like, we're looking for like a dark male, a dark complected male. And they got a picture of him. And I'm like, I know that you're doing a cop thing, but don't do that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants this.
It seems like racial profiling. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not great.
I mean, that's what they're doing, right?
Yeah, that is what they're doing.
I mean, I'm with the boss, who also is a British character actor. The show's full of British character actors. Who's just like, look, I knew these guys and they sucked. What if we just went, I got to juke the stats. I got to go up and talk to walls. It's The Wire for one scene all of a sudden.
Yeah, that was great.
Well,
it was interesting.
It showed some like nuance to this, but then immediately it's given over to Employee of the Month, and he's going to ruin everything.
Yeah.
So, here's the deal. Here's my short take. I see what they're doing, and I don't like it. Yeah. And I don't think it's being done well or with any nuance.
No, I don't think it is either.
Did you like the scene where that great action scene where the boat motors are following on them or whatever's going on? There's a bunch of transmissions hung from the ceiling. Let's have a gunfight in here.
That was weird. And then like
it's just we've gone full cycle. Because I came up with this term, then you use it constantly, but you've stopped recently, and now I'm going to start using it, which means that you're probably going to start using it again. But it feels like they wrote backwards. It feels like they went, what's a good scene that hasn't been done? They're always dealing with environmental hazards. And nobody's ever had a straight up gunfight in Star Wars. There's always laser walls or like pits of flame or something like that. And so in this one, it's an industrial planet. So there's all kinds of crap hanging from the ceiling. But that can be dangerous in a metal shop if you're, engine blocks are going to be falling from the ceiling. So how do we get them to that spot so this can happen?
Right.
It's just so silly.
And they can escape out a tunnel, a secret little tunnel. And then like he made such a big deal about this freaking box, and he went to try to save it, and then things were falling from the ceiling and he couldn't get to it, and they get outside, and so you think, okay, I guess he's just leaving that I know, but he says to Stellan Skarsgård again once they're outside, but the box, I gotta get Andor, shut your mouth.
I guess
they're gonna come after you.
I guess.
I
feel like as much as I don't like Rogue One, I feel at least Jyn Erso had an arc, right? She did abandoned as a child. Yeah. She becomes disillusioned. She learns to hope, and then they hope. What's Andor's? It's just going to be the same arc.
It feels like
he's going to meet Ghost Dog and be like, yeah, all right, I hope sounds good.
It feels like similar beats, right? Because he kills somebody at the beginning of this. Like he killed some. Why not come up with a different story for him?
No, I know.
Come up with like a different inciting incident that like he has to leave the planet.
People like this, which is fine, but they hate Boba Fett. So if people like this more than Boba Fett, Jesus, what the hell is happening or not happening on Boba Fett that people like this so much? What are they getting out of this that they weren't getting from Boba Fett? From what I understand, Boba Fett is like not exactly what people wanted. Yeah. And it's sillier, I think, than people thought it was going to be. But
I've only seen the first episode of that.
People just want edgy Star Wars, man. They just want their dark and edgy Star Wars.
Can't you just see that, though? Well,
I think we did.
Yeah.
You pointed out that
I don't know if it's AbCab, though. I'm not convinced.
I think Kelly Gilroy thinks that he's Ridley Scott. Because, as you pointed out, he goes to the Blade Runner planet at the beginning.
Yeah.
At one point, a character goes to like a phone, a payphone. Yes. Why have a payphone in Star Wars? Why? Why bother?
Because they've got newfangled
in Blade
stuff,
Runner,
but they've got weird
Deckard
old
goes
stuff.
to a weird payphone, to call Rachel, and it reminded me of that. And then Andor totally has a Blade Runner gun. That's like Deckard's gun. Mm-hmm. Deckard's gun was like a very sawed-off shotgun. It was basically just the hand part of a shotgun with like a grip.
Well, and when he's at the Blade Runner planet, it's like raining.
Yep.
Rains a whole crap ton in Blade Runner. And he's wearing a long brown leather coat. Yeah. It's got a hood, so it's not Deckard's exactly, but
here's the problem with trying to make something that comments on something and is smart for an audience that you don't trust. because Disney
Yeah.
doesn't trust its audience.
I agree.
They especially don't trust its Star Wars audience.
Yep.
And honestly, look at them. I wouldn't trust them either. But you need to have nuance to make something like this work. Otherwise, well, first of all, you just get a bunch of characters who are literally just stock characters, and they're not even like Star Wars characters. So Tony Gilroy has just written in a bunch of characters who are stock, like British drama characters. It's like when Stellan Skarsgård is flying into the city and there's a guy on the train with him, and the guy is just an old British guy who's literally got like a space trilby on, and he's just like, oh, it was different in my day. I didn't know the territory. And it's just like, this isn't
it was
even
like Music Man.
Make him a worm man or something like that. You are literally just doing a BBC show. And that is not nuance. And then when you've got the character who is, so what's this character's motivation? He is the assistant to the regional manager. He wants to be higher up in his position. He believes, he sings the corporate anthem every day when he gets up. So it's like, that's what he wants to do. Now, my acting teacher told me, I'm not supposed to play that part. I'm supposed to do something else and let my actions be that part.
Yeah.
But instead, he's a big pissant. All of his subordinates hate him.
Yep.
It's like, we get it. You don't have to play the subtext and be so unsubtle.
He's overacting.
Yeah, he's
that's
like
what
that.
He's doing.
Yeah, Cassian's entire character is like that. Like, everybody is like that. And I just don't...
It's not interesting.
They think that we're dumb. They
I know.
think that we're so stupid.
And I really hate it because the story is, honestly, it's very simplistic.
And the same thing was
Which
true
is
of,
fine,
like, name
but-
any one of the characters on the team in Rogue One. You can't.
I can't.
No. Because they're all the same way. It's just like, old mystic blind guy is old mystic blind guy. They're just all
They're all tropes
completely
that
one-dimensional.
just are walking around. Yeah.
Well, anyway. Would you recommend this?
No, I wouldn't. I'm disappointed because I heard good things about it. And so I was cautiously optimistic for a while there, even though I don't like Rogue One. And then I was like, why was I even optimistic about this? I mean, the third episode was way more interesting than the other two. So I don't know. Maybe I'll continue watching this. But
I just don't know why this.
I think that's a great question.
I think there are two
Why are we
motivations for
telling
Star
this
Wars
story?
shows, live action shows so far. Money,
Yep.
Obi-Wan and little Leia,
Mm-hmm.
and The Mandalorian to a degree, although I think that they have managed to tell some interesting stories, individually in The
too.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And then also a story about rebellion. We rebel.
Yeah, right.
But then all right, so what does that look like? Well, let's take the characters from this, because Tony Gilroy wants to do something, so we'll take his dead characters and just go back in time, and then it'll be about a town or a planet or something like that. A planet who, I don't have any sense of the character of this planet. I know that they work stripping ships in a scrapyard, and I know there's a guy that loves beating on an anvil to tell people when the work starts and stops.
Right.
But otherwise, I don't know anything about this planet and how they feel.
They
don't have any character as people. They try to replace it by all the gloves on that wall. That represents all the lives that go into this plant and strip.
Yeah.
All right, come on.
Well, and then they beat.
That's what have some dialogue.
I know, and then they beat metal pipes outside their
And you can
homes,
tell me,
for the symbol.
Yeah.
And
you can tell
everything.
me that that's all coming later. I'm like, do it now.
Yeah.
I've watched 90 minutes of this. I should know all of this by now.
I know.
So anyway, I don't know. I can't rule out that it all comes together at the end. But 3 episodes in, I feel like it's just going to keep dropping the ball.
I don't
think
like the pacing.
I think there's an interesting concept behind it. I think that concept is a good concept. I think the way that they have delivered it through the pen of Tony Gilroy is just completely bobo and broken. But like I said, it could get better. Socks confirmed. We've never seen socks in the Star Wars universe before. And we've never seen sex in the Star Wars universe before. After Bix and her quizzling boyfriend, also quizzling weak jealous boyfriend is quizzling weak jealous boyfriend. What if he had a different character?
Yeah.
But also inside we could tell that he was jealous, and then he ratted him out later.
Yeah.
Instead he's just a total Judas the whole time.
I know.
Can't wait for that guy to betray us.
I know.
But anyway, when she wakes up in the morning and he's creepily staring at her, he's got his legs crossed and his shoes off, and you see that, yep, they've got socks. I don't know why that's exciting to me. It just makes Star Wars seem more real.
Okay.
That's what makes Star Wars seem
All
real.
right, all
More
right.
socks.
That's
gloves.
Fun. Yeah.
A lot of, is that haberdashery?
Haberdashery is hats, isn't it?
That's not haberdashery. That's millinery.
I don't know. Yeah, so I guess that is exciting.
We haven't seen Genevieve O'Reilly play Mon Mothma yet, but Jesus Christ, that's a long bet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 2002, and you're being cast to appear in a non-speaking role in The Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Hey, this chick looks kind of like Mon Mothma. Little do you know, if you just hang on, those crow's feet are going to help you someday. You will be playing the role of Mon Mothma for this dead woman for over 25 years.
I know.
Congratulations on that.
It's so creepy that he watches her sleep. I don't like that.
Oh, well.
Some weird choices were made
He's
in
dead
this.
now.
I know, and that was also awful. So I don't know what we're supposed to get from that. It was almost like it's a little too real, police brutality sort of thing, and like and they're being rough with her unnecessarily, and also they go after her because she sees them and she starts running the other way. There are people running all over this town and they just leave them alone.
That's commentary. That's a thing. But the thing is that
I don't like
that
it.
the thing is that either do race or don't. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If these people were all, and this is how sci-fi works. Star Trek has done this for years. I think it's very, speaking of like talking down to people, I think it's very basic, but it's very understandable. If everybody on Fenric or whatever the planet's called, was
an alien
was
race?
blue or had antenna, then we would be getting somewhere. Yeah. But you are both trying to suggest them sort of profiling people, but also just in their behavior, So it's like, well, he's, a kind of Mexican looking guy, so he must be one of those Mexican aliens. Come on, show. Yeah. But then also they're having like, why'd you run? Why'd you run? Which is something that cops do all the time to black people.
That's true.
So I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe in another couple years they'll, make a Medgar Evers in space show or something like that, and they'll really nail this kind of metaphor. But this is weird new territory for Star Wars, and I think they should probably stay in their own galaxy until they've got it all figured out.
I just don't think they. Yeah.
Oh, we're still going.
What is the message? Like, what are we trying to get out of the show? What is the show?
Rough. Things are rough. Wait till Forrest Whitaker shows up. Goo goo gaga. I do like B2 emo, but like at this point, droids always steal the show. So what are you gonna do?
I know. I like the droid too.
B2.
The droid is adorable.
B2's fun.
Yeah.
Although, shouldn't a droid have like a radio built into him? What a dumb plot point that it's like, all right, hold this walkie-talkie, and then I will just talk into it. And even if you're not talking back, I'll go, well, I've told you the entire plan, B2. I sure hope there's nobody's listening in. You're real quiet today. Did you need to charge up?
It's like, Andor, how stupid are you? Are you a spy
pretty stupid?
Or not? Like,
this is pre-Andor. Later on, we'll see post-Andor, and he'll be real smart and real good at killing people in alleyways. Thanks for joining us on the show. Look, we love you, and you love us. Mm-hmm. And so, look, we're not always going to agree on stuff.
That's right.
There's no reason to get mad about it.
No.
And honestly, I'm not saying that I can be talked into liking this, but I do want to hear the honest and earnest opinions of people who say did it like it. Mm-hmm. Or if they didn't, I want to hear that as well.
Yes.
That's called discussion.
I agree.
There's not enough of it in the world, and we like to have it on our Discord, which there's a link in the show notes, and you can follow that link to join our Discord. Costs you nothing, and you can talk about Andor, Star Wars shows, Marvel shows, Lord of the Rings shows, every House of the Dragon shows, every kind of show there is, we talk about, and movies and comics and TV shows and video games and all that other good stuff. So do that.
That's right.
We also do that on our social medias. Find us there. Search for Just Enough Trope. You can find us. Follow, like, subscribe, do all the things. Mm-hmm. If you are not subscribed to our show, why the heck not?
Yeah,
dude,
what's going on, man?
Subscribe to that show. It comes out right away.
Yes.
And you go, ding, ding, check that out. These guys hate Star Wars. I got to get mad at these
Read all
guys.
about it.
Right on time. Here it is.
Yeah.
And so do that. And then go to your listening platform of choice. Forget that we hate Star Wars and give us a rating or review.
5 stars, please.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
And let us know what you think about the show. And yeah, I mean, it really helps. We can never state it enough. If you listen to the show and you like it, it doesn't have to be long. Just pop onto your listening platform and just say, yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Give us 5 tracheas.
Oh my God. No.
That way we can talk better. Also, it can replace the one that I guess we break when we fall down and die.
We fall down and die? What
Yeah.
are you talking
The
about?
guy just like Cassian headbutts him.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
And he falls down.
He dies somehow.
He dies somehow.
Yeah, it's really unclear.
What is this, an adult drama on cable?
Yeah, did he hit his head and then just die?
I guess so.
Oh my God.
Strong choice.
Yeah.
Strong choice, Andor.
I hate when that
Give
happens.
us 5 stars for our wars instead. We'll be back next week to talk about, finally, the Marilyn Monroe is back in Hollywood.
Yes.
We're talking about Blonde.
Yes.
I hate to have built it up like this. Well, we'll definitely be let down.
Probably.
But we'll be talking about why we were let down.
That's right.
In a similar way to the Andor conversation. So join us next week for that to get our honest opinion about Blonde. But until then, we're signing off. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.